everybody, welcome to my homestead, welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I got an email from Derek Larson. Subject line, Earth's core is slowing and its cycle is 70 years. I've been waiting for this for a long time, you guys. News on the Earth. I'm about to show you why. In the email, hi Jared, I loved your channel. I've loved your channel and it's greatly changed how I see things around me and tie them to the gospel of Christ. Your insight is incredible. Thank you. I came across this fascinating article about the Earth's core slowing down and its cycle is 70 years. Could mean something. I'd love your insight. Your friend, Derek. And then he provides a link. Well, thank you, Derek, for the email, and I'm glad that you enjoy the channel. I'm just trying to note things and then, put things together. Of course, I'm always waiting to see what actually happens and if some of these things that we speculate about are actually true. But yeah, I think I do have some insights. You may or may not know, I have a spreadsheet called Signs Earth, and this is going to be the newest thing on my spreadsheet. And as I was preparing for this video, I came across something else that I didn't know about, so I'm going to share that as well. So basically, from my point of view, with what I've been noting and recording, it seems like Earth has been acting different for a while now. It's been doing some interesting things. The first thing that I have on here is from 2009. And what we're going to do is we're going to start there and just do a quick review of what I know so far. And it's strange. I feel like it could be related to the second coming, all these things taken together. Also, I have this spreadsheet called Timeline Second Coming, and you'll notice column L. So these columns right here are for like ongoing events. And in column L, I have Earth rotating faster. And that goes all the way back to 2016. We'll read about that. And then, interestingly, in 2018, President Nelson's first year as president of the church, it was noted that Mars was rotating faster. But that was only observed until, let me double check here, until 2022. It could still be rotating faster if I remember that story. It's just that they weren't making the same observations beyond this point in 2022. So it could still be rotating faster. But yeah, I don't know. You have to wonder about these things. So, okay. So let's go to the first thing that I have. This is from 2009. This article is from 2023, but it's talking about the year 2009. USA Today, did Earth's inner core stop spinning? New study finds it may soon start turning in reverse. Okay. Planet Earth's inner core may have stopped turning and could go into reverse, according to a study published this week. The study's authors said they found that the inner core's rotation, quote, came to near halt around 2009 and then turned in an opposite direction, end quote. So, I mean, we're all still here, none of us went flying off the planet and there hasn't been like a worldwide catastrophe, but I guess this is what they observed. Continuing, quote, this globally consistent pattern suggests that inner core rotation has recently paused. We show surprising observations that indicate the inner core has nearly ceased its rotation in the recent decade and may be experiencing a turning back, end quote. When you look at the decade between 1980 and 1990, Song said, you see clear change, but when you look at 2010 through 2020, you don't see much change. Okay, so I have that, and then I have this one right here from Futurism. The Earth is spinning so fast. Now, okay, so this one over here, we were talking about the Earth's core. Now we're talking about the Earth itself. The Earth is spinning so fast, we might have to turn back the clock. This was published August 4th, 2022. As CBS News reports, June 29th, this is of 2022, June 29th, 2022 was the fastest day in recorded history, clocking in at 1.59 milliseconds, shorter than the average 24 hours we know and love. According to a recent study, the Earth started to spin faster back in 2016. And so that's why I have it on this, starting 2016, which was just a couple years before President Nelson became president of the church. We've noticed so many things coincide with his presidency. And it seems like the Earth itself, in maybe not necessarily his presidency, but this like final phase, the way that he talks about it, the final phase, the last half of the ninth inning, the latter part of the latter days. It seems like all these things are kind of coming together. Okay, so according to a recent study, the Earth started to spin faster back in 2016. And on average, the days have become shorter ever since. The rotation change hasn't been enough to render every single day shorter, according to the study's authors, but the impact has been pronounced enough to get the scientific community buzzing. And if the trend continues, which it very well might, mankind will likely have to make some changes to atomic time, or the universal way the time on Earth is measured, according to experts. Historically speaking, Earth has never kept perfect time. A number of factors from its magma core to ocean tides can impact how fast the Earth spins. And as The Guardian points out, our planet has actually spun a bit slower in recent centuries than it has in the distant past. So for the last few centuries, a little bit slower, but then you go back even further and it was faster. So it's like faster, and then it went slower for the last few centuries, and now it's starting to get fast again, I guess. Okay, now this is Spacecom. We already talked about this, though. This is just the article that talks about that day, June 29th, 2022. Is that what it was? Yeah, June 29th, 2022. So this is the article just for that itself. So we have USA Today, the inner core stopping and even reversing. And then we have the Earth spinning so fast we might have to turn back the clock. So just like just on average, the Earth spinning slower. And then we have this article talking about the single shortest day, which was June 29th, 2022. And there was something I want to read from this. The Earth seems to be speeding up and taking progressively less time to complete its spin, meaning days are shortening. In December 2020, the website Time and Date reported that during that year, the Earth had experienced its 28 shortest days since scientists began measuring the length of a day with atomic clocks in the 1960s. And this right here, this is something that I did not know. I pulled up that report on Time and Date. Earth is in a hurry in 2020. Of all years, many of us wish we could get through this difficult year as quickly as possible. Seems the Earth feels the same way. It has been spinning unusually fast lately. 2020 included the 28 shortest days since 1960. 2020 had shortest days on record. Before this year began, 2020, the shortest day since 1973 was July 5th, 2005, when the Earth's rotation took 1.0516 milliseconds less than 86,400 seconds. But in the middle of 2020, the Earth beat that record no less than 28 times. The shortest day of all came on July 19th, when the Earth completed its rotation at 1.4602 milliseconds, less than 86,004 seconds. Okay, so up until that point, Earth had its shortest day on July 19th, 2020. And then 2 years later, that's when we had an even shorter day on June 29th. But 2020 by itself, up until that point, had the 28 shortest days. So that's the new thing that I have here on row 6. I mean, this is just, it's crazy. To me, it's crazy. So that brings us to this most recent thing that was emailed to me. This is on CNN Science. Earth's core has slowed so much it's moving backward, scientists confirm. Here's what it could mean. Okay, so this is a little confusing because we talked about how they thought that the core had stopped spinning back in 2009. And I'm not sure I can consolidate these two things. From what I understand, there's debate about the core of the Earth. So I don't know if these two things go together. Like, I don't know. Let's read the article, then we'll talk about it. Okay. Deep inside Earth is a solid metal ball that rotates independently of our spinning planet, like a top whirling around inside a bigger top, shrouded in mystery. This inner core has intrigued researchers since its discovery by Danish seismologist Inge Lehmann in 1936, and how it moves. Its rotation, speed, and direction has been at the center of a decades-long debate. A growing body of evidence suggests the core's spin has changed dramatically in recent years. But scientists have remained divided over what exactly is happening and what it means. Part of the trouble is that the Earth's deep interior is impossible to observe or sample directly. Yeah, we don't have a hole that goes all the way to the core. And trying to get to that point, you would come across the mantle and all the other layers. So it's like it's inaccessible unless like there's some big leap in technology to where we can go to the core. Okay, seismologists have gleaned information about the inner core's motion by examining how waves from large earthquakes that ping this area, like, you know, the waves go down, then they bounce off, that ping this area behave. Variations between waves of similar strengths that pass through the core at different times enabled scientists to measure changes in the inner core's position and calculate its spin. So that's how they determine it, is essentially the waves from earthquakes traveling through the planet. Okay, one promising model proposed in 2023 described an inner core that in the past had spun faster than the Earth itself, but was now spinning slower. For a while, the scientists reported the core's rotation matched Earth's spin. Then it slowed even more until the core was moving backward relative to the fluid layers around it. Okay, so when we're talking about the core like reversing or spinning backward, I think this is the key phrase. I don't think it, if you're just looking at the core itself, I don't think that it is rotating backwards now, like it came to a stop and then it started going backwards. I think it's this, relative to the other layers around it, which are also rotating. Does it make sense? So you have like the core that at one point is going faster compared to the other layers, but then it slows down. And so it's like from the point of view of the other layers, it's like it's going backwards because the other layers pass it up in speed. I think that's what that means. And I think that's what it meant. I think it was in this article. It may soon start turning in reverse. I don't think it means actually in reverse, just slower than the other layers, I believe. I could be wrong. But continuing, research published June 12th in the journal Nature not only confirms the core slowdown, it supports the 2023 proposal that this core deceleration is part of a decades-long pattern of slowing down and speeding up. Okay. The new findings also confirm that the changes in rotational speed follow a 70-year cycle. And that is an interesting number, especially since we've been talking about 10 and multiples of 10 within the last couple of weeks. I talked to Rabbi Gerfein about what 10 means and when you times a number by 10. So here you have 70. Of course, that's an important number. In our church, we think about the quorum of the 70. And anyway, so yeah, that is interesting. Okay. Okay. Said study co-author Dr. John Vidal, Dean's Professor of Earth Sciences at the University of Southern California's Dornsife or Dornsife College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences. Quote, We've been arguing about this for 20 years, and I think this nails it. I think we've ended the debate on whether the inner core moves, and what's been its pattern for the last couple of decades, end quote. But not all are convinced that the matter is settled, and how a slowdown of the inner core might affect our planet is still an open question, though some experts say Earth's magnetic field could come into play. Skipping down, Earth's magnetic field yanks on this solid ball of hot metal, making it spin. Okay, the magnetic field yanks on the core and makes it spin. At the same time, the gravity and flow of the fluid outer core and mantle drag at the core. Over many decades, the push and pull of these forces cause variations in the core's rotational speed, Vidal said. Okay, that makes sense. So the core spins because of Earth's magnetic field, but then you have these outer layers made of different materials, and if the inner core is solid, then you have these outer layers that are liquid, and so rubbing against the inner core, it like causes variations in speed. Okay, that makes sense. The sloshing of metal-rich fluid in the outer core generates electrical currents that power Earth's magnetic field, which protects our planet from deadly solar radiation. Though the inner core's direct influence on the magnetic field is unknown, scientists had previously reported in 2023 that a slower spinning core could potentially affect it and also fractionally shorten the length of a day. Now, I don't think this is necessarily why we've seen these shorter days, but maybe some of them, yes. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but when I put it all together, these other articles talking about the Earth spinning faster and having these like record-setting days, the 28 shortest days in 2020, and then the shortest day on June 29th, 2022. None of these articles mentioned the core being the reason for that. And they mentioned other reasons or other factors that affect the rotation of the Earth, including tides and stuff like that. So, but the core can have an effect like it's talking about right here. Continuing, by tracking seismic waves from earthquakes that have passed through the Earth's inner core along similar paths since 1964, the authors of the 2023 study found that the spin followed a 70-year cycle. By the 1970s, the inner core was spinning a little faster than the planet. It slowed around 2008, and from 2008 to 2023 began moving slightly in reverse relative to the mantle. There's that key phrase again. It's not that it's going backwards or reversing compared to the mantle and its speed. Okay, the next section is future core spin. When the core turns, Vidal said, that affects the arrival time of the wave, meaning like waves from earthquakes. Comparing the timing of seismic signals as they touched the core revealed changes in core rotation over time, confirming the 70-year rotation cycle. According to the researchers' calculations, the core is just about ready to start speeding up again. Okay, and then later, if his team's model is correct, core rotation will start speeding up again in about 5 to 10 years. So that would be about 2029. I know a lot of you are looking at the 2030s because it may make sense that Christ would come exactly 2,000 years from the time of his crucifixion, or something like that. So that would be in the early 2030s. So I don't know, but that's around the time that they think that the core is going to start speeding back up. Again, we can't say for sure that this is related to the second coming, but I feel like when it's stuff like this, like on this big of a scale, like we've looked at, for example, the solar cycles and how this solar cycle 25 seems to be peaking right now. And, you know, we just recently this year, when was it? A couple months ago. Wasn't it in May? I think it was in May that we saw the aurora this far south. Practically the entire United States was able to see it. And this seems to be a pretty important year. So for the solar cycle to be peaking right now seems significant. But you have like different large scale things like this that, when you come to a point where you get to a maximum or you get to a inflection point, it could mean something. All right. Continuing. As for whether or not the debate about core rotation is truly ended, quote, we need more data and improved interdisciplinary tools to investigate this further, Wazik said. And then to finish this off, filled with potential, changes in core spin, though they can be tracked and measured, are all but imperceptible to people on Earth's surface, Vidal said. When the core spins more slowly, the mantle speeds up. This shift makes Earth rotate faster, and the length of a day shortens. But such rotational shifts translate to mere thousandths of a second in in day length, he said. In terms of that effect in a person's lifetime, he said, I can't imagine it means much. Yeah, it may not affect us directly, like none of us are losing sleep over a millisecond or a fraction of a millisecond, but the general phenomenon, it could relate to something bigger. It could be part of God's timing. It could be in relation to the Earth, because we know that the Earth is going to go through large changes at the time of the second coming and in the millennium. It's essentially going to be a completely different planet. The continents and the islands are going to come together. There's going to be one supercontinent, and it's going to become a paradisiacal world. In Millennial Messiah, Bruce R. McConkie floats the idea, and he's not saying that it's doctrine or anything, but he floats the idea that the axis of the Earth may change to the upright. That it could be that the flood, because he points out that seasons aren't pointed out until after the flood, and so it could be that before the flood, the Earth was in an upright position, which I think that makes a lot of sense. So it's things like that. We know that there's going to be a lot of changes to the planet in the millennium. And so when we see things like this happening, for all we know, maybe it's preparation for that change that's coming. But anyway, that's all I have for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.